Well, Adam, let's get into a little bit of your story. I know you were born and raised, I think, in Herscher, Illinois. It's a town north of Chicago in the Illinois suburbs. And you also co-founded HomePages Directories, which was a $20 million publishing company. I think you were there between about 97 and 2007. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to that point and how and why you were part of the founding of HomePages Directories. And if you could tell our audience a little bit something about the company too.
So Herscher, Illinois is about 60 miles south of Chicago, but it's literally in the middle of nowhere. So for 26 miles from Kankakee, Illinois to Dwight, you have nothing but cornfields, bean fields, alfalfa fields, sunflower fields, hay fields, and then you have Herscher right in the middle of that. So there's really nothing around it. It was a great place. It was like Mayberry growing up. The sign that welcomes you to Herscher says, the finest in small town living. The people believe it. They live it. And that's where I developed my work ethic on the farm, walking beans, detasseling corn, baling hay. And when I ran for governor in 2009 and 10, and it's a corrupt state. And I ran against the corruption in both parties, on the Democratic side and on the Republican side. And I used to say on the stump, when people say, why are you doing this? Why do you want to be governor? 4 of our last 9 governors in Illinois went to jail. Why do you want the job? This is a fiscal nightmare. And I used to say, look, have you ever baled hay? That's tough work. This is our obligation. This is our responsibility. We've got to get this one right. Look, starting out in business, that's why I fight so hard on the behalf of the taxpayer, Francisco, because it's always impossible. My brother and I, we started this publishing business when print was king in the yellow pages industry. We broke down the big phone books into the small neighborhood directories for small towns up to, in the beginning, we only published for towns up to 5,000 residents. We gave them their own phone book because we knew that 87% of purchases were within a 7-mile radius of your home. So you didn't need a 3-inch thick directory with 60 towns. You just needed your hometown vendors, your hometown businesses and providers. And that's the book we gave people. They were very, very popular. My brother still publishes those to this day. I cashed out in 2007. It was after 10 years. After 10 years, we were an overnight success of literally working around the clock. Briefly, here's that story. My brother graduated from Harvard Law and joined me in the publishing business in 97. In the first year, we were upside down. Everything that we had saved, everything was in the business to grow the business. At the end of year 3, we were $1 million sales revenue company, and we nearly lost the company because we nearly ran out of money. We survived that lean period. In the 6th year, that was the year we finally out-earned our employees. My brother had a Harvard Law School degree. I was working around the clock, arm in arm with him, and our employees for 6 straight years out-earned us. Right up until, so in year 5, that was the first year we actually had a profitable year and made some money. Up until then, we'd make a little bit. My brother would call me with a capital call. It would go back into the company. And finally, in year 6, we were a $5 million business. At the end of year 10, we were a $20 million business. And that's when finally we were an overnight success.
Yeah, overnight success, 10 years, right? Well, it's interesting because you came up in that era where the internet was starting to be used more. This is still pre-social media companies, but we just think of. I actually not sure the last time I got a telephone book. I feel like one's delivered still about once a year, and it just shows up, and you're like, what do I do with this thing? And maybe it's a doorstop or something.
Well, my brother, since 2007 to today, so in 07, if you remember back, that was 1 year before Steve Jobs invented the iPhone.
Right.
That's when I was able to cash out of the business, and nobody saw it coming. Multiples in the print, yellow pages industry were an all-time high, never to return. But my brother's been able to navigate the platform change to the electronic, and he works with about 50,000 businesses today. By 2015, they were the largest print community publisher of yellow pages directories in the country. So he's about the only business in that industry that never went bankrupt, and actually they're thriving.
That's great. Well, when you were coming up with the idea of starting the company, I loved how you really zeroed in on, hey, a lot of these smaller communities don't need stuff from, 50 miles away, in maybe downtown Chicago or whatever it is. They just 87% of the business is done very, very locally, 7 miles from their door. You zeroed in on that. You found a market to do, but I mean, it still took a while for you to employ that.
Well, and then it was shoe leather. And let me tell you, I made 60,000 premises sales calls selling behind our sales force. So we used to put in 2 reps. One half of the town would go to one sales rep, the other half of the town would go to the other sales rep. They'd sell through, then they'd switch sides, they'd sell through again. When they felt they couldn't sell anymore, that's the universe of calls I got. Everybody they couldn't catch up with, everyone that told them no, everyone that told them maybe and to come back later. And then I set every single year, I was the #1 sales rep for our company, selling behind our sales force. Out of every 100 decisions, I'd get roughly 43 to place an ad in our directories, and 57 told me no, taking the toughest tranche of small businesses.